The story begins on Amity Island, a place that floods with tourists the moment summer arrives. It is night, there is a slight chill in the damp air, and a group of young people are secretly enjoying themselves near a fire pit on the beach. One of the girls runs off toward the ocean, as if adventure is calling her name. She jumps into the cold water, laughing softly, but suddenly, in the depths below, a massive shadow passes beneath her. Her face freezes in terror, and within seconds, she is violently yanked underwater and disappears. It looks as if the ocean has swallowed her whole. By morning, the town's relaxed mood shifts instantly when Police Chief Brody learns that a body has washed ashore. Brody is already an uneasy character, but when the medical examiner reveals the nature of the attack, alarm bells ring in his mind. This was no accident, this was a shark attack. Brody wants to close the beaches immediately, but the mayor, whose mind is focused solely on the tourist season and profits, stops him. If you close the beaches, the town will be ruined, the mayor insists under pressure. Despite his wishes, Brody is helpless to act. The beaches remain open, and people enjoy themselves, but Brody's gaze keeps drifting back to the water. Not much time passes before another horrifying moment occurs. A young boy is playing on a raft when, suddenly, with a huge splash, the sea turns red. People scream and flee the water. Brody's worst fear has come true, a massive great white shark is prowling these waters. Panic spreads through the town. The boy's mother announces a reward, sending dozens of fishermen out in boats of all sizes. A competition breaks out in the town to see who can catch the shark first. Some people actually manage to catch and bring back a shark, but Brody silently notices that the size doesn't seem right. Enter marine biologist Matt Hooper, who arrives in town, performs an examination, and clarifies, this isn't the right shark. The killer is still in the water, and it is massive. The town is even more terrified by this news, yet the mayor still refuses to close the beaches. However, when another attack occurs in the lagoon area, and Brody's own son is nearly killed, Brody's patience snaps. He makes it clear, we are going after the shark, no matter what. At this point, the legendary and somewhat eccentric shark hunter, Quint, enters the story. Quint's personality holds a unique charm throughout the narrative, a bit mad, a bit of a genius, and completely a man of the sea. He proposes to Brody and Hooper that if they venture out to sea with him, together they can kill this monster of the deep. The three men set off into the ocean aboard the boat Orca. Within hours, Brody begins to feel the reality of the sea, the boat constantly rocking, the wind blowing hard, and the feeling that the ocean itself is breathing. Hooper measures everything scientifically, while Quint uses an aggressive style to provoke the shark. They make a strange team, but they share a single resolve, this shark won't stop, only we can stop it. Then, suddenly, the face of the ocean changes. A massive shadow is seen moving parallel to the orca underwater. The shark's dorsal fin breaks the surface, and a look of shock freezes on Brody's face. The size of the shark is so unnatural that Hooper gasps and says, this is no normal shark. This one is a killing machine. From this point on, the real battle begins. Quint uses barrels to keep the shark at the surface, but the shark effortlessly drags them underwater. Every time the shark surfaces, the orca shakes and cracks. The shark's intelligence and brutality become increasingly clear. At night, the three men sit in the cabin, exhausted. Quint tells a haunting war story about how he survived shark attacks during a Navy ship disaster. Through this story, Brody and Hooper realize that for Quint, the shark is not just an animal, it represents an old vendetta. By morning, the tension reignites. The shark attacks again, destroying half of Quint's boat. Hooper attempts a cage experiment, but the shark smashes through the cage, and Hooper barely escapes, hiding on the ocean floor at the last second. The boat begins to sink, and the most tragic moment occurs when Quint slides off the slippery deck straight into the shark's jaws. The shark violently drags him under, leaving only a look of helplessness on Brody's face. Now for the final showdown. Brody is left alone, clinging to a half-broken mast to face the shark. As the shark smashes through the boat toward him, Brody jams an oxygen tank into the shark's mouth and aims his rifle from atop the mast. Every shot misses, the shark gets closer and closer, until the moment comes when Brody makes one last attempt. The bullet hits the tank. There is a massive explosion. The ocean shakes from the blast within the shark. Its giant body is blown into pieces and sinks. The water turns red, then slowly fades back to blue. Exhausted, Brody lies on a piece of wreckage. A few moments later, Hooper surfaces, alive. They share a brief laugh, as if a nightmare has finally ended. Then, using broken planks as paddles, they start making their way toward the shore. Left behind is only the silence of the sea, and a story that Amity Island will never forget.